everyone, so today, as you can see from the title, I am doing an everyday makeup tutorial. For some reason, this video was requested quite a few times over the past year or so. So I wanted to do this tutorial. Finally, I had the time to actually sit down and make this video, and I was actually comfortable. I really hope you guys enjoy it. When I wear a full face of makeup, this is usually what I go for. So let's go ahead and get started. I first like to start off with a nice cleansed face and my hair pulled back and out of the way. Also, I have pretty dry skin, so I'm going to go ahead and apply my daily moisturizer before I do anything else, as well as my lip balm. For concealer, I've really been loving this MAC Pro Longwear that I got as a sample a few weeks ago. I'm going to apply that right under my eyes, as well as down my nose and the sides to get rid of the redness right around my nose. I'm also going to apply a little bit of concealer on my chin. I'm using my fingers to blend all of that in to warm up the concealer. For this particular concealer, I'm using the shade NW15. I really like matte concealers because they have a wide range of color as well as formulas that work well with my skin. Next, I'm taking MAC Studio Finish Concealer in the shade NW20 and applying that on top of the Pro Longwear concealer to give my eyes that extra brightness. I'm also going to use the Real Techniques Expert Crease Brush to apply this. I really like this brush because it blends the concealer in really nicely and leaving no creases under my eyes. Now I'm going to apply my foundation. I'm using Studio Sculpt by MAC in the shade NC20. A little of this foundation goes a very long way, so I'm going to use about a pea-sized amount since I don't need much coverage. With this foundation, I like to use the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques to buff in the foundation. I really love this brush for liquid foundation. I find that it blends in my foundation flawlessly and never leaves any streakiness like some foundation brushes may do. I also blend the foundation down to my neck to make sure that it blends into my skin and looks really nice and natural. Next, I'm using the Maybelline Dream Lumi Touch Highlighting Concealer, and I'm just going to apply this right on top of my cheekbones as well as down my nose to give that little extra brightness. Now it does look like I put a little bit too much on one side, but I did go back and fix that. And now for my brows. I'm just going to brush out my brows. Now with an angled brush, I like to fill in my eyebrows using the Naked Basics palette in the shade Naked 2 and Faint. I like to mix these two together, and I find that using eyeshadow to fill in my eyebrows gives it a nice softer look where pencil can sometimes look a little too harsh and unnatural for me. So it took a little practice to be able to fill in my brows, but when you practice all the time you kind of get the hang of it. I just go along the shape of my eyebrow and fill them in. I then like to slightly extend the end of my brow since I find it to be a little short. To do your brows, you want to use a very soft hand to avoid any harsh lines. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm taking a new favorite of mine, which is the Maybelline Color Tattoo eyeshadow in the color Barely Branded, and applying it all over the lid. I like to use about 2 coats of this. Next, I'm taking a matte eyeshadow by MAC in the color Quarry and applying it right on the outer third corner of the eye to give it a nice smoky yet natural look. I like to use a little bit of product on my brush at a time to slowly blend in that color and continue to build the color until I'm satisfied. I continue the same thing on the other side and constantly check to make sure that both sides match. Now I'm taking the color Venus and Foxy to blend out any harsh lines. The next part is out of shot, but I took Rimmel London Scandal Eyes in the color Nude to put that on the inner third corner of my eyes. I put Quarry on my bottom lash line, and now I'm taking Sephora's waterproof liner and lining my waterline as well as the top of my lash line, and blending that out. Next, I'm using my favorite liquid liner by Milani. It's super easy to use, applies dark, and lasts well over 13 hours. I like to get as close as possible to the lash line and apply the eyeliner. I follow the natural shape of my eye and line my eyes, making the inner side of the liner thin and then slightly thicker towards the outside. Same for the other side. I make sure both sides match as closely as possible. I then just make a small flick at the end, making it as thin as possible, then adding to it. I just make sure that the flick at the end is as thin as possible. It's okay to make the flick little by little. You can always gradually make it bigger, but if you start off with one huge flick and mess up, you have to start all over. With a small flick, you can slowly elongate it and check to make sure that's how you want it. After I'm done, I sit back and check to make sure that they both match. Now I'm going back in with a little bit of Naked 2 and bringing that down on my bottom lash line on top of that Quarry to make it a little bit more smoky. For my eyelashes, I'm using a Sonia Kashuk curler. For mascara, I'm using one of my favorites, which is Makeup Forever's Smoky Lash in the color Rich Black. I find that this mascara really thickens and elongates my eyelashes. For this, I apply about 2 coats, waiting about 15 seconds between each coat. After this, I like to go in with a little bit more of Quarry just to kind of smoken it up a little bit more. Also, another favorite of mine is the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara. This stuff is seriously amazing. If you happen to wear eyeliner on your bottom waterline, this will help it to prevent panda eyes. I never used to wear mascara on my bottom lash line, but this stuff is wonderful. It keeps my eyeliner and eyeshadow in place and doesn't flake or budge at all. For bronzer, I'm using NARS Laguna. With a powder brush, I'm taking a very tiny amount and just applying it all over my face to give it a little bit of a glow. Now I'm taking my all-time favorite cream blusher. This is Penny Lane by NARS. This product is great for all year round. I find that applying cream blusher with your fingers is the best. It warms up the product and you have a lot of control as to where it goes. With my Sigma contouring brush, I'm going to take NARS Laguna bronzer again, this time to contour right into the hollows of my cheek using a fishy face. I'm also using the 3 method to apply bronzer to my temples as well as my jawline. I also put a little bronzer down my neck to elongate it and make it a little bit slimmer. For a little highlight and glow, I'm applying Milani's Baked Blush in the color Luminoso right onto my cheekbones with a Sigma angled brush. And now, to set my makeup, I'm loving MAC's MSF Natural in the color Light Plus. Like it says in the name, it looks really natural and not cakey at all. And for this, I actually like to use Real Techniques Blush Brush. I then take a tiny version of the blush brush, which is an actual setting brush, and apply some powder right under my eyes to make sure that my concealer stays in place all day long. I also put a little bit of that powder where I previously put concealer around my nose to help it stay in place. Now, with a MAC 224 brush, I'm taking a little bronzer and contouring my nose to make it appear nice and slim. I'm using Stila's Illuminating Finishing Powder to highlight, applying it down the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, as well as the top of my brow bones. And lastly, for lipstick, I'm using MAC's Sweet and Sour, applying just a sheer layer and blending that out with my finger. I'm also applying Kiehl's lip balm right in the center of my lips since it has a nice gloss to it and I don't have to use lip gloss. So that was it for my everyday makeup. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!